And we're getting ready for the Don Carlos segment and a special guest that Don will be interviewing. And, you're listening to the Los Angeles Hispanic Republican Club, brought to you by C&M Metals and C&M Metal family. And so we're very fortunate. So, estamos listos. So here is Mr. Don Monroe.
Buenas noches. Good evening, everybody. We have ourselves a new special guest, Camille. Camille's got some, recent background on chasing after and having people held accountable who are running for office. So it'd be interesting. I'm very interested because it was a very last-minute guest that I had gotten informed that was going to be on the show. But based on what I know so far, a lot of us go out and we want to throw our money, our time, and our efforts behind these candidates. And you know what? It could be a very emotional process. But, we do have to do our due diligence. And Camille's got some kind of, quick, I would call them almost commandments of things to do before you, invest emotionally behind these candidates. So, Camille, you can introduce yourself and, start with where you come from,
Where do I come from?
Yeah, where do you come from? Yeah, out of the blue. And Sal brought up Major. We had Major as a Pasadena candidate. He was running for mayor, and then he's been running for other things, and apparently he's been able to raise some money still. I'm not going to speak on what my initial feelings were about Major, but he definitely speaks well in public. He tended to be a kind of a favorite in a lot of arenas in speaking. But I think you took some of that air out of his sails somehow, is what Sal was kind of discussing as far as gaining some transparency and sharing that with the public.
A little bit.
Just a little bit?
A little bit to do with it. Thank you for having me on. I'm Camille, and I was raised in a very conservative household, very, very Republican, and guns and all that. And I admittedly just voted with who's got an R next to their name. That was, and I couldn't wait to vote when I turned 18. I've been voting ever since I turned 18. But it was sort of like, okay, well, that's the candidate. That's who we go for. And I have always been good at research. Like, I'm the friend that my single friends would come to when they'd be like, oh, I'm interested in this guy. But all I know is... I was about
to ask that question. It was right there. But all right, go ahead.
They would literally be like, I have his first name, and this is where he works, or this is where he goes to church. And I'm like, on it. And so I would give them so much information. And
so you come out of the intelligence.
I didn't do anything
industry.
shady to find this information.
Do not give her your last name. Do not tell her where you work.
Right.
Everything was always legal. Okay, I'd never done anything illegal to find this information, but I initially did like Major.
Well, that's kind of what Republicans have been doing, though. Is we're having a lot more candidates. This is like a record, right, for a very long time that we have Republicans running in this November election, right?
Yeah, thanks to us.
Yeah, I mean,
thanks to us,
and we keep on bringing them on, and we keep on, drilling them about what they stand for, what they believe in, and what they're doing in their community as far as community work and outreach. Mm-hmm. But in your digging, when did all this start? When did you become, hey,
trust but verify?
Yeah, where did that start?
Just last year, actually.
Okay.
So, like I said, I was always just like, okay, if they have an R next to their name, that's my candidate.
There's a lot of people listening that's how they do it.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
and that's all we know.
And sometimes we have we have two R's, and we always tell people, especially within the Republican Party in California, like, why are we splitting the ticket? This is crazy. And more reason that, as Republicans, we need to be doing our homework. More reason that because what people don't realize too, that there are candidates that are being supported by the Democratic machine that are being also swamp people.
Absolutely.
So you have to know. I mean, we have swamp people on both sides, folks. Don't be disappointed to hear that.
That's true.
They're on both sides. So you do have to have your research. So what are kind of like the quick? Well, tell us a story of a candidate that just blew your mind when you started digging in, and then kind of, because I think that would be the first thing to happen where you're like, oh my God, I'm traumatized. Now I got to do this. I got to vet everybody. I have to vet everybody now.
Unfortunately, Major is a prime example because he broke pretty much every rule in the book.
Oh, wow.
And there is a book. And there are rules,
You
and
mean the
he
Bible?
did break them. No, I mean like the actual the Fair Political Practices Commission, which is the FPPC, and they have handbooks, and I have read them, and there are rules, and he broke many of these rules. Not all of them.
Oh, many of them. Okay.
Enough of them. And so I was initially a supporter of Major.
Okay.
Major Williams for governor. And one of my friends actually knew him, and she had her own experience, and she came out with her experience, and it was not a good one.
Oh.
But it was stuff I did not witness, and therefore I could not prove, but I believe where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right.
And I thought, if this is the kind of person he is, there's more to the story. And so I started digging in. And I...
Didn't he recently run for governor, too, or something,
Yes.
somehow?
2020, didn't he?
He ran in the special election, but then didn't actually make it to the ballot. He became a write-in candidate, and then he ran for this election.
And he's been pretty successful at raising money, too, from my understanding.
He was, yes. But one of the things he did was use donor money, campaign finances to fund. He purchased his merchandise, which we think, buy the hat, buy the shirt to support your candidate. And that's supposed to go back into the campaign. It was going into his personal bank account. And I got receipts on that. I can prove that. And not only can I prove that, I won in a court when he sued me. So
He sued you?
He sued me.
Wow.
He lost.
But even the fact that he sued you.
To clarify, he dropped the lawsuit, and then we filed for attorney's fees, and then it was decided that we would have been the prevailing party.
Then he got proper advice, and they were just like, what are you doing?
So,
yeah. That's usually what happens.
So, like I said, not only can I prove with actual receipts and invoices and all that, I mean, I did my due diligence. I left no stone unturned.
So what does due diligence look like?
Well, due diligence looks like holding
Camille's husband, he's right behind me, and I'm sure the light was on the wee hours of the night, right? And you're
gosh, no,
he's got that husband look.
He was so happy I found a hobby. Like, I quit spending money. I wasn't trying to remodel the house or buy clothes. I was like, no, I'm
I'd be supportive too. You know what? New hobby. You know what? You just need a
book light and a lot of research and a computer.
There you go.
Exactly.
The man that has the blackout blinds on his eyes.
Keep the internet on. I am
She's
good.
saving me money. I'm good.
I would probably put my phone on repeat that just says, honey, yes, yeah, and then just go hit the, go to bed.
Yeah. So politicians are obviously, they're running for a job. They're they're interviewing for a job, basically. And they need to be held accountable to, are they actually qualified for the job? And if we question them and they decide to block us on social media, they don't want to be questioned. They don't want to be transparent. They don't want to be held accountable.
Well, yeah, I was kind of eavesdropping a little bit on a conversation that you guys were having earlier on the radio program, and they were just like, the young kid who was like, don't walk away, candidates walk
Max.
away. And, I think the candidates, and I was thinking to myself, if I were, and I've had to chase down people who came to speak at events and stuff, and they don't want to be questioned.
Nope.
They don't know what's being recorded.
Senator
they don't
Stern
know,
did that to
they
you.
don't. Yeah.
I'm going to name him.
Yes,
I'm a witness. I'm going to name him. He did it to you.
And it's just
I called him out on it, too.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting there thinking, wow, they really don't want to answer any questions. They don't want to be put in the limelight. They don't want to make a response that they later have to retract. Or you find out that they lie, basically blatantly lie to their constituents' faces.
Right.
And,
no, I don't support trolling people that you don't like simply because you don't like them or you prefer the other candidate.
Oh, I wasn't trolling.
No. I'm sorry. I wasn't.
We actually were at my event because I ran for LA County Supervisor District 3, and we had a live debate with all 6 candidates, and he was one of the candidates.
Yeah.
And it was an opportunity for him to talk to him, and he turned around and blew him off and walked away from him.
Yeah. Peace. Well, anywho's, I need to do some research on that man. And so you have the recipe. So give us the goodies.
I have his cell phone number. You can call him.
That's trolling.
No trolling.
That's stalking.
Or stalking, actually.
Well, first of all, you can look up candidates' financials, or if they have to file them, and you would.
The more you speak into the radio right here, the people are listening. They're gonna take notes, folks. So for those of you who are advocates of truth and
Reality,
digging.
truth, and information beyond
And
the
you know
soundbite.
what? Stop looking up your girlfriend's, boyfriend's stuff. We need some real warriors out there bringing transparency out in the political realm. So, share with us.
Okay. The FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, is for federal candidates. So you'll go there to look into. You can look into many PACs and presidential candidates, congressional candidates, and you can look at their finances.
Now, what could they
there.
find there?
What are they spending their money on, and where's their money coming from?
Okay. Now, for people who are running for the state elections or local politics, I mean,
State is going to be the Cal Access, which you can actually quickly find on the Secretary of State website, which is, I think, sos.ca.gov.
Yes.
And then from there, you'll just hit elections and find campaign finance.
Now,
and then
do
type
all
in.
the other city, county, does that all roll up into that same?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, of course, not all city council members are going to, or smaller elections are going to have financials. So a lot of them will run and they use their own money.
Right.
They're self-funded, so that's not necessarily always going to be on there. But yes, that would be Cal Access, anything state.
So when you say you dig in and you do your research, it's really on just the ethics of how they're handling the monies coming into their campaign.
So
Okay.
my attorney actually had done a video going through Major's financials, which inspired me to then look at his financials for when he ran for mayor. And that's when I started to see a pattern. And my attorney did an excellent job on his video. And I decided to go through his campaign finances just because I felt like I had kind of gotten so involved in what was going on with Major that I thought, maybe there's something that will stand out to me. But
I mean,
what stood out... Sorry, go ahead.
No, say it.
What stood out was actually not what was on there, but what was not on there.
Oh.
And that was all the merchandise that was being sold and not going back into the campaign. And we could do a whole several hours of case study on this, but we won't.
No, I mean it's. I don't think you necessarily have to. I think that, but what I see is that we have a lot of candidates right now, especially in this LA City Council, that have been investigated. I mean,
And charged.
and charged,
Good.
and they're still being under investigation, and yet they're still attacking the sheriff, our wonderful sheriff Villanueva.
You mean Sheila Kuehl?
Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking, here we are trying to replace the folks that are doing the damage, that are destroying the fabric of what, our republic is supposed to be. And yet, we have these candidates that get sucked into, I don't want to call it greed. I think it's just the overall envy. They want to be like the politicians that are already sitting in the seat. But goodness, I mean, it's disheartening that when you find, because for me, when I first saw Major, I was like, I really like how he speaks. I think I was with David when I first met him. Actually, I went to an event, and spoke really well, spoke with confidence, was loud, was clear. But when all this stuff started to come out, even like you said, where there's smoke, there's fire. I started seeing a lot of smoke, hearing a lot of smoke, I guess, even though you can't. We're on the radio, so we have to always, But was there anybody else that you just started to do the same?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Are you working on them? Or
I'm one person, and I can only do so much. But if we had people in every city, every county actually
Right
vetting
now,
their candidates.
Should you have a website to start putting this together? We can start building a team of...
I'm telling you, listen, as a candidate, it would be nice to know what my opponents are up to.
Right.
True.
I mean, I ran against 2 senators and a councilwoman. And I was a grassroots candidate. Would have been nice to have some of that information. We should have known it then.
Are you looking for dirt, Jeffy? I don't know. What are you saying here?
I mean, I don't want to say I'm for hire, but I can be bought. No. But just real quick regarding the FPPC and the FEC, if you see something that you question, that you believe is unethical, file a report. You can file reports with them. You should file reports with them. And they will look into them, and if they see something there, they will open a case. So just wanted to clarify that real quickly because I feel like that is important. Because the question would be, well, I vetted a candidate and I see concerns, now what? I have 500 followers on Instagram. What am I going to do? How am I going to change the world? And so people need to understand that you actually can file complaints against them. You can file reports, and they will get looked into it. And if something's there, it will be taken care of eventually.
You know, I don't take it lightly that the information you're sharing here, you know, I just see so many people that they feel helpless. They know that they see the things that are happening. They just don't have the tools to open up those
Go to
can
events.
of worms.
Go to the events and ask them publicly. Put them on the spot when they're in front of the audience. They can't run away. They can't block you.
There you go.
I have videos of me
Get active,
questioning
everybody out
candidates,
there.
and they're running away from me literally. One candidate, she has a video out that says, I believe in checks and balances. I want to be held accountable. And when I went and questioned her about something, she literally ran away from me. And I was holding my phone, filming it the whole time.
Wow.
That's kind of powerful.
It is. It is.
It's easier just to say, I don't have an answer for that, but I can get back to you.
Yeah, she was on the spot. And then she tried to get me kicked out of the event because I was crazy.
Oh,
But-
we know lots of people that have been kicked out of events, right?
But don't ever do. I as someone who's been sued, you know, only put out the truth.
Oh, no,
You know,
definitely.
be careful.
Definitely.
If you're going, like I said, don't troll people, and if you're going to question people, make sure that you're questioning because you actually have the intent to get the answer.
Right.
That you.
Well,
have
you know,
concerns.
that's like people who stand on various, you know, philosophies or, you know, and I think the folks that typically get aggravated, angry, and they start to attack the individual as opposed to their stances on things are the ones with the weakest amount of research and their weakest amount of truth or information. So when you go to these events and you speak to someone who's holding a public office, I mean, you're hoping for that transparency. It's a red flag if they run away. Everybody, if they run away, you
red
might
flag,
want to do
baby.
some more digging. I'd file the report immediately. They just took off running. You know what?
I don't think you could file a report
She
for
did
that.
not make it. She did not make it to the general. So
I'm just saying.
I'd like
you
to
know?
file a report. She ran away.
You know.
oh, yeah, you can't file a report
Did you have
on
a
that.
knife?
But no, I actually did
You
file a
know what?
report on her financials. But
When people in the state of California are being denied, you know, licenses and permits because
Yeah.
of people they knew or people that they are related to, you're guilty by association. I mean, all this stuff, you know, just reeks of a communist, you know, state. And so I'm sitting here and I'm listening. You know, I mean, I think that's kind of what we as Republicans who want to stick to following the rules of engagement. And yet we have other folks that are just like, screw your rules of engagement. I'm doing what everybody else is doing. And we have numbers in a sense, you know. It's like, all right. But, you know, I think there are a lot more people who are Democrat who are sitting there saying, I don't even know what the Democrat is today. You know, I saw a bunch of signs in Culver City. Shout out to Culver City. Not the school district because they're horrible. I mean, from the standpoint
No, they are.
of
They're terrible.
you know, we're going to get 100% vaccinated children in our schools. Okay.
And we're going to mask every one of them.
Yeah. But I'm saying Charlton because they are showing up. They're not calling themselves Republicans, so you know, eventually they will. But they're marching up and down on Overland Avenue with their Kennedy Democrat signs, and they're trying to find their identity. They just have to give up the party. I feel they're trying to somehow convince, you know, those extreme leftists that they're not extreme leftists. But it's just until they start abandoning the party, they're not going to change.
yeah,
They're not going to change. I mean, it's like they have their commandments on their page, and it's all left-wing type stuff.
they're
It's just
probably
extreme.
very lost right now. They
are lost. A lot of people in the party, I mean-
they will not call themselves Republican, but they're like, no, we're not with
I
that.
don't know what
either.
it is. I mean, it's like just the.
Well, right now, if you admit that you're a Republican, that's basically saying, I am MAGA and therefore I am racist, and they, like,
I was gonna say,
which
it
I
has-
know that's not true, but that's
Right.
what.
I know you didn't
president's
come here
speech.
for this, but that president's speech, did you watch it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, my
I only
goodness.
heard bits of it.
But you don't have to watch the whole thing. I couldn't either. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was so divisive.
It was awful.
Yeah, it was just like, you know, it was
And
almost
that-
like
and that-
grab your pitchforks.
And
you
he
know,
promised, you know, I actually put together a reel on Instagram of so many of his tweets over the years. He promised when he's president, if I'm elected president, I will never do anything.
He promised to be the
divisive. I will
Band-Aid on
I will
American
unify
division.
the party, you know, and
But I believe, though, that...
he's more like a
that-
blood clot. That's what he is.
that had a vaccine and a couple of shots.
than a
with it.
Band-Aid, I'm saying.
But I I firmly believe that speech is going to turn some of those JFK Democrats into Republicans, because a lot of those JFK Democrats believe in the flag. They believe in the Pledge of Allegiance. They believe in freedom of choice. Regardless of what that choice looks like, for whatever side you want to stand on, they want their choice, and their freedom is allowed through the Constitution. And I think that speech is actually, in the next few months, we're going to see a lot more people voting that going away from the Democratic ticket and voting that Republican ticket. Or at least a mixed ballot. Vote a mixed ballot. Like you said, know the candidate. It's okay if you said you voted all R's. It's okay if you want to vote a D or something in there, because the R candidate really might be.
Right, I was going to ask that
major.
next. So have you checked into these Ds, these Democrats?
These D's.
No. Now, I live in a
pretty
pretty
much
red
figure
district,
out, like,
and I don't have time to, search everybody.
Research stop with D,
but,
right?
What's up? Stop with D. And
They're
now
a
I know
Democrat.
there's plenty of districts or
No more
plenty
research needed.
on the ballot. When it comes to the ballot, there's your options are only going to be a D or a D. And
Well, that's kind of why I was asking that question, because there are some, dare I say, moderate.
there are, and but they're that group that doesn't want to call themselves Republicans
But
yet.
they get bullied when they go into the
Right.
in the room. They it's like that's what everybody tells me I should do. I'm the squeaky wheel here, and then they get greased, and then they just stop.
Please,
being,
I ask anyone listening, please, if you only have D or D options, please really look into them and vote for the more moderate one, because you don't want to end up with the extreme leftist.
the extreme.
Well, we
Yeah.
see that right now with the sheriff's race.
Exactly.
We see it with the L.A. mayor's race. We see it for city council in District 11 in the Venice area with Tracy Park and McOster. And so rather than sit back and be irrelevant and not participate, we do have an obligation to do the vetting of when it's two Democrats on the ballot. And I don't even want to say pick the lesser of two evils, but who is going to be most beneficial to the area where you live.
Right. My unpopular opinion, I don't believe that California is a red state. I know we hear that often, that people say, oh, I believe California is a red state. But
Or purple.
Where do you hear this?
I know.
Maybe I said it one day. No, I didn't.
no, but
No, I'm always just pushing like we're going to turn it red. Stay
we've
confident,
seen
folks.
a lot of people.
It's
Obviously, they're
happening.
starting to change their minds. They're starting to question things. They're starting to pay attention.
They're definitely
and
red in the
I
head.
think that we definitely, if we do our proper vetting and don't just discount someone because they are the two Democrats on the ballot, I think we can get a purple wave come November.
Yeah.
But we really have to
I'm
get out,
excited.
inspire,
I
and
really
activate people. And if we get a purple wave, eventually we can work towards a red wave. But
Well, I mean, we have 16% of Republicans that just voted in the last race, and 36 were Democrats. We're never going to get
Right,
to
the
purple.
numbers aren't there.
if we don't get people to actually just vote.
right.
I mean,
People need to be educated on why they should vote, like in the primaries.
Yeah. Oh, I probably
And-
would have been number 2 had people gotten out and
And
voted.
I know you speak. I've heard you speak about this a lot.
Yeah.
that we had such low turnout. It's very sad. But
Well,
I
think the
we're
election
hearing this-
integrity thing was like a big. They did
Don't
so
even mention
much.
that. That's why people aren't
Well,
voting.
I was just going to say that.
No.
We hear that all the
Hold on.
time.
I'm saying I'm actually. Let me
If you
finish
hear-
our thought.
Okay,
for
I'll
a
let you finish your
second.
thought.
Jeffy jumped on me and just Oh well.
Woman power.
Jumping in the air, shaking hands.
I'm the only woman here, so thank God.
David, you're too far. You need to be on this side. I just think that yes, it took the sell out of a lot of people's,
Wind.
wind. Yeah, sorry, the wind out of
their
their sail.
sail.
There you go. Sorry. Because it didn't make any sense. There were so many folks, and it was so diverse. You had blacks, you had Hispanics, you had whites. You have everybody going to these rallies, and they weren't. I wouldn't call them MAGA rallies. I'd call them the freedom rallies.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were all over. I mean, in Beverly Hills. I mean, all of a sudden you start having all these different agencies try to stop these things. I mean, it was a real caravan. It was a real caravan. And so when the results didn't show in these last elections, and you could argue there was issues with the voting process, and now you have folks that's like, I don't want to participate in this fraudulent activity. But you know what? I think on the speech, what a lot of people maybe didn't catch is that Biden was kind of priming folks with, hey, that these Republicans are out here, they're watching us. and they're going to try to change things. It's not that we want to change things. We want integrity. And it's not just Republicans. It's also Democrats. Democrats who also love this country, who loving the country doesn't mean that they're MAGA, right? So, yes, very divisive all across the board in every which way. So, but I love the fact of bringing integrity to the R's. To the R's. R's, get it together, all right? Vote, but also do your homework. All right.
Go to Los Angeles Hispanic Republican Club.com, and we have up there the candidates, what they stand for.
And does Camille, do you have a handle that you kind of speak on these things on Instagram?
I'm active on Instagram at Camille.Bethany, CamilleBethany.
Now, do you put together a list of candidates that you think people should vote for?
If I really believe in one, I do. I never want to tell someone who to vote for.
No, I mean, just to say, I like this candidate, I've researched this candidate, these are the things I like about him. You do that.
I do that occasionally.
Yeah.
All right.
I would put like a 3-5-star kind of rating, but I would call it
the Camille rating?
The Camille dressed hens rating.
Maybe that's what we need to do. We need to put together a list of what different people think are good candidates, and just they can go research, see who you are, and go, if she believes in it, maybe I should, kind of thing.
Oh
maybe
gosh,
we need to do something like that.
That's way too much pressure. And I don't want to be. I don't want to when I'm wrong and they're like, she did this, it's her fault.
No.
So there's the music. Thank you. That was the Don Carlos segment. And Camille Bethany, thank you so much. And to all of our guests, Christina Irwin, Jennifer Kennedy, our
Max.
Mr. Magic on the phone, Max Bonilla calling in, also Amy Fan West.
We had
Jeffy
Mike
McMahon. Now, don't go away. Come
and
right
Mr.
back.
Dan back here. Support.
Dan,
my
man.
driver.
All right, now remember, we're going to go to a break now, but don't leave your radio dial because there's going to be a surprise coming on at 10 o'clock.
You have got reality, truth, information beyond the sound bites with David and Jeffy.
Coming in 10 to
right.
11.
It's our
All right.
third hour.
Thank you, everyone.